What is going on, YouTube? Just helping you out here. And for today's video, I'll be doing Chapter 3, Section 3.1, Exercise 23 in the Calculus Single Variable 6th edition textbook by Hughes-Hallett, Gleason, McCallum et al. Chapter 3 is all about shortcuts to differentiation. Section 3.1 is all about powers and polynomials. And in Exercise 23, we are looking for the derivative of the given function. And so we are looking for dy dx, and in this case dy dx, or the derivative of y with respect to x, is equal to the derivative of the square root of 1 over x to the third with respect to x. And in the problem, the function is given as f of x, but you can write it as y or f of x, it doesn't matter either way. And so this may look a little scary to differentiate at first because it's kind of out of the ordinary and doesn't really look like it follows any specific method for differentiation. But what we can actually do is we can manipulate this a bit and write it in such a way that it becomes a little more clear what method you need to use. And so what I'm going to write is y is equal to the square root of 1 over x to the third. And this is equal to the square root of 1 divided by the square root of x to the third. And what we can do is get rid of the radicals and write it as powers instead, since the square root is the same thing as saying to the 1/2 power. And so this is equal to 1 to the 1/2 power divided by x to the third to the 1/2 power. Now 1 to any power is 1, so the numerator is going to just be 1. And now down here, if we have something to a power and that whole thing to a power, you multiply the exponents. So this becomes x to the 3/2. And what we can do is move this to the numerator by just making the power negative. And so this right here is equal to x to the negative 3/2. And now this may be a little more clear that in order to take the derivative of this, which is equal to the original thing that we were given, you need to use the power rule. And now the power rule states that the derivative of x to the n with respect to x is equal to n times x to the n minus 1. And now in our case, x to the n is this exponent right here. So n is equal to negative 3/2. And that means that the derivative of x to the negative 3/2 with respect to x is equal to n, which is negative 3/2, times x to the n minus 1. And now we're going to want to get a common denominator up here, which is going to be 2. And so this is equal to negative 3/2 times x to the negative 3/2 minus 2 over 2. And now we can do this subtraction right here, and this will be negative 3/2 times x to the negative 5/2. And now this is our final answer, but we can clean it up a little bit by moving this x term down to the denominator again and getting rid of the negative exponent. And so your final answer for dy dx, or the derivative of the function that we were originally given, is equal to negative 3 divided by 2x to the 5/2 power. And that is the final answer to this problem. And so that's about it for this problem. If you found this video helpful, please drop a like, leave a comment if you have any questions or an idea for a future video, and lastly, please don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends about my channel so I can grow and help more of you guys out. I'm just helping you out. See you in the next video.